Joining us now on the program, we have security consultant, Mr. Dixon Osagie, who has joined us at this very time. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Osagie joins us in our Lagos studio. We also have joining us Mr. Abdullahi Kiyawa, who is the PRO Kano Police Public Relations Officer, Kano State, who also joins us from our Kano studio. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, and thank you very much for holding on thus far. I'm going to start here in our Lagos studio to ask Mr. Osagie, are you satisfied with some of the things that Major General Edward Buba has said, particularly about the strength of the capacity of the armed forces to fight banditry and insurgency in the Northwest, and of course the report that they have decimated insurgents in the Northeast?
Yeah, fantastic. I think he's made some great points in the area of citizenry, because we need to understand that counterterrorism is a multidimensional approach. It's not military-centric. It's also population-centric. You and I think, is it Jeffrey that was saying that the media is also playing a role, which is very important. The people also have a role to play, because when you create this mess, you send in the military. You create in this mess, you send in the military. So those creating the mess should also join the military to, clean up the mess they've created. But for me, we need to get one fact correctly. The killing of insurgents is not a sign of victory when it comes to counterterrorism. As I speak to you, a terrorist's wife is pregnant. A terrorist will be born tomorrow. A terrorist will be born today. That tells you that terrorism sometimes might live with us.
Or a potential terrorist.
Potential terrorist, yeah. Because it might be indoctrinated.
Right, or might just be the best citizen.
Potential. So we can't, classify theory of victory in the killing of terrorists, you understand? Because if you want to look at that formation, yes, commander-wise, if you want to kill their commanders, it's a very good point. Just like what's happening in the East between Israel and its enemies, they went after the commanders, and the whole essence why they went after the commanders is to decimate the morale and demoralize these guys. So we celebrate the military, but let's not see the killing of terrorists as a sign of victory. It's not a sign of victory. Until that situation is brought to a state of peace, then we celebrate peace.
All right, let's take it to the PRO of the police in Kano, Mr. Kiyawa. Let's bring us up to speed as to how the police in Kano State is being able to handle the security situation in that particular state. Because, for instance, now we don't have reported incidents of terrorism and all of that in Kano, but what we have most of the time is some of these, when there is a riot, when there is a protest, we see the situation escalate beyond what sometimes the government can even control, and we see measures being taken that are quite drastic and the uproar at the end of the day. So with with the volatility that Kano sometimes is seen to be when it comes to certain times, I mean, for instance, the End Bad Governance protest, how does the police measure up to ensure that it brings calm, brings order, and what is the strength of the police in Kano State?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to Nigerians today.
Can you hear me?
Of course, when we want to speak... Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
When you look at the general security situation of the state, Kano State is generally calm. The issue of our security, especially along our Kano borders, because we were able to work in synergy with other security agencies in order to avert any form of infiltration of bandits to the state. There are 44 local government areas in Kano, and within the metropolitan, we have 8 local government areas. Along our state borders, that is borders with Kaduna State, Katsina, Jigawa, and Bauchi, we have 17 local government areas. And the police, in synergy with the military and other security agencies, have been conducting clearance operation to ensure that Kano State is safe and free from infiltration of bandits. Of course, Kano is very vibrant, and when you look at the issue, the nature of Kano, it needs multifaceted security approaches to secure Kano State. So as of now, I can say generally Kano State is very peaceful, Kano State is very calm. And this one follows the directives of the Inspector General of Police of the Nigeria Police Force IGP Kayode Adeolu Ebetekum, PHG NPM, to all police commands and formations to ensure community-centered approach in policing, that is community policing, intelligence-led policing, as well as ensuring clearance operation to abate any likely emerging threat. The question you asked, of course, the management of the August 1st to 10th nationwide protest in Kano. Whoever is in Nigeria must know what happens in Kano, because we have been always in the media addressing people, public enlightenment, to see that there is no breakdown of law and order in the state. But however, as of this time, Kano is very calm, Kano is very peaceful.
Well, some will beg to differ, spokesperson, because there's the Fadandaba situation in Kano State, gang violence. Sometimes they write letters to people. A lot of people living in fear. So when you say it's calm, there are those who are still afraid because of Fadandaba. So please speak to that.
Thank you. When you look at the issue of Togri, that is popularly called in the local parlance as Daba. This Ndaba do not operate all over the states. Where we have them is within some local governments in the metropolis. Out of the 44 local government areas of Kano State, we have 8 local government areas within Kano metropolis. And I can say to some large extent, the issue of Daba in the state has been decimated. What we only have just of recently is the resurgence of fights among youth in only one local government area among the 8 local government areas within the Kano metropolis. This local government area is Kano Municipal, and it's not the routine, usual Daba that we have been recording before. This one is a special case of fight between 2 groups. We have a ward in the local government, we have Kofarmata quarters, as well as Zongo quarters. It's only a road that divides these 2 quarters. And as a result, youth of this area were fighting with the youth of other area. That is from Kofarmata fighting youth of Zongo. It has been traditional fight for them. And with reinforcement, those of Kofarmata used to get reinforcement from their neighbors, Yakasei, Rimi. Whereas those from Zongo, the other side, used to get reinforcement from Zage quarters and neighboring areas. So this is just the recently escalated issue in the state. And as I said earlier, it only happened in one of the local governments, which is the Kano Municipal Local Government area. What the police do in the state? The State Commissioner of Police, CP Salman Dogo Garba, just in line with the directives of the IGP, employed a community-centered approach where the police are involving the stakeholders. After the escalation of the violence that led to the deaths of 2, immediately the Commissioner of Police went on the spot assessment and met the residents in those areas. After his meeting with them on the spot assessment, we now started to conduct stakeholders meeting, including all those that concern, especially the ward heads, the local security of the area, the vigilante, as well as the leaders, elders of those areas. So as I'm telling you now, the situation is under control, and those deaths, the killings in those areas, which is a rivalry fight, investigation is ongoing with arrest made, and the operation is still ongoing. So as far as the issue of Daba is concerned, in fact, all the states were almost there in ensuring that no more Daba in Kano State. In the early this year and the mid of this year, the Daba escalated not only within the one local government of Kano Municipal, but the areas like Gwale local government, Dorai quarters precisely, Dala local government, Dala precisely. And all those ones, the strategies in place, especially the community-centered approach, helps a lot. Many people have been asking us in this state, why are you not using your uniforms on this Daba, especially on just recent last 2 days escalation of this fight between these 2 groups. What we do is that we make it more community approach, because a situation whereby 2 sides are fighting, and when the security agencies come to maintain peace, they have to dialogue, because setting in immediately to try any other method than this community approach, it will lead to a fight between the police and the community. So we have been up and doing, and of course we have been on top of the situation. as of day before yesterday and yesterday, everything has now brought under control with our investigations and operations ongoing. Investigations on those arrested.
All right, I will have to take your words for it because there have been concern about thuggery in Kano State, and these things have a way of mutating, and we hope that that has been significantly brought under control. There are other concerns from Kano, but we'll come to you later on. Let's return to our studio here. The success of the armed forces in fighting banditry and terrorism, have been celebrated about the solution-based approach that they have deployed. But I believe that you have some insights also to share with us, on security in Nigeria's north. So go ahead.
Yeah, fantastic. You see, mostly we need to start looking at, bringing this war to an end. The general rightly talked about since 2009, which is 15 years from now, 15 years to date, simply implies that in the next 5 years, we'll be in this mess for 20 years, which is not good, 2 decades. You can't allow your enemy to be in your doorstep for 20 good years. So I think I'll be suggesting to the military and the Nigerian government to adopt some strategy, which is going to help. It has helped some international countries. That's what we call the link strategy, the resourcing strategy, and also the mobilizing strategy, and also the demoralizing strategy. The good thing about this strategy is that they are multifaceted and they work hand in hand. The link strategy, for example, what it has to deal with is for the military to start looking at cutting off the links between the terrorist guys. Looking at the objective of the linking strategy is to cut off the links. Then you look at the approach. Then you look at the impact. Because when you have an objective, mission objective, what next you do is to what is the approach to that mission objective? And when you apply that approach to that mission objective, what is the impact to the enemy? That's why sometimes when the enemy hits you, you carry out impact assessments. So in the enemy side, what impact assessments are they going to be looking at? So I think the military should start looking at the delinking strategy, which is really going to help. Then the second strategy, the resourcing strategy, is very, very important because at the end of Biafran war, we saw what play out in the area of the resourcing. These terrorists, they need resources to strive. They need resources to breed. They need resources to, engage the Nigerian government. So if you keep on killing these guys without de-resourcing these criminal elements, we'll fight them till eternity. And that is just the truth. So the objective of the resources is to ensure that they don't have resources, financial resources, they don't have ammunition, they don't have weaponry for them to engage the Nigerian military. Because if they have these resources coming to them, the military will keep on engaging them. And what we'll get, or the feedback we get in our dailies, is that 2,000 terrorists has been eliminated, 500 terrorists has been eliminated. So the resourcing is going to be very important for the military and the Nigerian government to adopt. Take note that this strategy is not military-centric, it's multi-dimensional. The military, the police, the law enforcement, the social aspect, the economic aspect as well. Because if you look at the employment methodology of terrorists, what they do is that they capitalize on the vulnerable ones. That's why a child on the street is a potential threat to the government, and the government must try all they can to take off most of these jobless guys on the streets.
Pardon me if I'm coming here. How do we address the resource strategy? Because there are reports that there are moles within the army and even the police that supply these weapons to the terrorists.
There are moves everywhere. The whole essence of the resources is for you to build in an effective intelligence network, because without intelligence network, you won't be able to de-resource these guys. The military are in the battlefield. We have the NIA, we have the DIA, we have the DSS, which should all come together to, support the Nigerian military, because it's not easy for the military to carry this cross alone, because they never created this mess. So in the area of the resourcing, what the government should be looking at is that they should set up a high-powered intelligence network that will, try to see where they're getting their resources from. We have our national borders. I accept, I agree that we have our border is very porous. Then the arms and ammunition most times come from the government space. So what do? That is where the Nigerian immigration comes to play. You try to, ensure that the government space is well protected. Thank God we have technology whereby you can send drones to go and fly around the government space so that you don't send in men for them to die, because technology plays a very beautiful role in the area of security. What does it do? What it does is that it mitigates the loss of the life of man. For a man to die, the drone goes down. I think something is a engaged. Yeah. So that's where the resource.
Maybe help us run through it as quickly as possible. So you've done 2. I think there are about 4, 7 of them. So you just run through it.
4 of them. So it's done 2 to go.
Yeah. The resource. Yeah, the resource.
You have the next one. Demoralize.
Demoralize is very important. You know, you have to undermine the morale of the terrorist group, because if you don't undermine their morale, I think they'll keep on having strength. Like one of the strengths of this terrorist group is publicity. You know, if they kill 10, 20 soldiers and it's all over the papers, they breed strength. So I think in the area of demoralization, we should try to look at how we undermine their morale. And the approach to demoralizing these guys is to conduct high-profile arrest or elimination of commanders. You saw within a week what Israel did to their enemy, to his enemy commanders. It really demoralized those guys. So the military should start targeting the commanders of these guys, so that we'll be able to fight easy, train hard and fight easy. Then the impact in this demoralizing approach is that it breaks the wings of most of these guys that will want to, be enlisted. Then the last one is demobilization, which is very important, because if you don't demobilize these guys, they'll keep on, engaging the military, and that is why we need to start looking at dismantling their physical and operational structure, so that they don't have an effective group or an effective armament to engage the military. And the impact of this demoralization is that it enable the law enforcement, to eliminate key leaders and operations and operatives of this terrorist group. So delink, de-resource, demobilize, and demoralize is a very good strategy for the government to start looking at, so that we don't just have our military in the battlefield fighting every day and not having a plan or a theory of victory. For me, I see this as a victory plan if you want to get rid of these guys and let Nigeria breathe again.
A fine place to leave it. Instructive for all armed forces, members of the armed forces, and other security agents. And we must thank you very much, Mr. Dickson Osagie, MD Debris Security Limited and security consultant, who joined us here in our Lagos studio. And we also thank Mr. Abdullahi Kiyawa, the Police Public Relations Officer, Kano State, who joined us from our Kano studio. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. And when we'll return from this break, we'll bring you the next leg of our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.